So I'm recording this just as a preface for this video because I just sat through and watched all of episode 7 and recorded my review and everything of it. And I just noticed the recording option on the software I'm using for this microphone stopped at some point. So that's going to be a problem. Not so much on the video or the episode showing side by side. It does make things a little bit more difficult for me for editing. My recording software is set up to like multi-channel audio and all this stuff. But that's behind the scenes stuff that's not important. And I'm like peeking my head to the side to make sure it's still recording now. But just to let you know, I don't know when exactly, but parts of this recording or all of it might be using my camera audio, which is not good. So I apologize for any poor audio quality that you see in this YouTube video. I'm not going to reshoot everything. That seems like a horrible idea. So just keep that in mind when you watch that. I apologize for any audio quality. Hopefully, video-wise, everything is fine. Okay, Google. Set desk lamp to green.
Got it. Changing the desk lamp to green.
I am back once again with some more She-Hulk. As of recording this, I just uploaded the episode 3 reaction. I am super late at uploading these. I record them every week. I just don't have the time to edit and upload them as quickly. So you're going to see, I mean, the rest of the reactions are already up by now, but you're going to see a slow reaction to these. Hopefully by the next Disney Plus thing, they'll be quicker. In regards to the last episode, I'm trying to remember what I said exactly, but if I recall, I believe I was really trying to defend, I don't know, just like any sort of like redeeming aspect about that episode, and I think what I came down to was that I couldn't really find anything. The episode was just bad all around, and I hate saying that about a Marvel property. Like I said, it takes a lot for me to hate something. And even the quote-unquote bad Marvel stuff that, you know, a lot of people point to, you know, like Thor the Dark World. A lot of people say The Incredible Hulk, actually. Iron Man 2. Even if you want to look at some of the TV shows like The Inhumans, Iron Fist. So a lot of the stuff that people hate, or I should say the stuff that people say is bad, even if they're not my favorite thing in the MCU, I think they're okay. Yeah, even the bad stuff, I don't think is like, the bad Marvel stuff is still pretty good, and I have no problem watching them. The last episode of She-Hulk was just bad. There's nothing I could really say was redeemable about any of the characters, any of their actions or motivations, the writing. And for a show that I've really enjoyed up until this point, it's kind of really shocking. Like, there's just this one episode that really stands out that is just super bad in my mind. But that's all getting flipped around because this episode, that's right, I'm not watching this one live, I already watched it. This episode I really liked, and it had a lot of great stuff about it. I actually think this is one of the better episodes of the season. And we're going to jump into it and talk about it. But I will say, as of recording this, the next episode is about to drop. I'm on a super late schedule. I am on Eastern time, which means I believe the episode airs at 3 a.m. It's past 2:30 a.m. And that's when I'm going to be recording this episode. So I'm doing a double feature, double recording. I hope I have enough memory card storage space on here. If I don't, you might see my face disappear for a little bit, but I will have a backup plan recording through my webcam on my computer. But I want to try to do the camera quality as much as I can. So yeah, this one's going to be a rewatch. The next episode is going to be a fresh new reaction. So I don't remember exactly what points I wanted to hit on this episode, but from what I recall, I think there was a lot of stuff I wanted to point out or talk about. So let's jump into it and talk about this episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, The Retreat. So one thing I want to start off with saying, I love how everything was directed in this episode. The cinematography, the music, like the transitions in this like this shot, the following shots after this. Yeah, this is really well done, and it's such a contrast to the last episode, which was just, I don't think was really well done. Yeah, I think this is one of the better intros of the show so far. That was a cool transition, too.
Blonsky's inhibitor.
Oh, did he turn into the abomination?
Wait, see?
I gotta go up to that.
He picked up a
wackadoo ranch
donut
of
and
his.
it was made a disgusted face and put it back.
Join with him.
Is he he's at the police station or at home? He's at the police station. He's just looking at other people's food. I didn't notice this, like, I didn't notice this the first watch. He's eating other people's food. Okay, this episode's even funnier now. I really laughed at this scene. I don't know why. I just thought it was funny. He's opening the gate and she's just driving by and just, like, driving right through. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, well, come back anytime.
First of all, I think these characters are great. Secondly, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see them show up again in the MCU. They'll still exist in the MCU, but they won't be acknowledged. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see them in Avengers Secret Wars.
Even a sword around in the air is not a job. Unless you're a matador.
See, to Mangle, Pelagila represents...
So much unnecessary backstory to tell to someone whose car you just destroyed. I can't drive this. How am I supposed... that was nothing. You just said nothing in response to a very straightforward question.
Mangle?
How many chickens does he have? It's like chickens everywhere. Also, I was completely wrong, it seems like, about Blonsky. Originally I said that he's all bullshitting when he said he's changed, he's a different person, and I felt like he was trying to just pull one over on everyone just to get free and become Abomination again. It seems clear from the show this is the new direction they want to take the character. Which, I'm not saying is a good or a bad thing, I just wasn't expecting it, I guess. I do like how the character is right now. I think he's pretty funny, and the actor is really great for either role, like what we've seen in The Incredible Hulk or for She-Hulk now. So, I'm happy either way. So, there's the signs in the background that are amazing.
Thinks he's a vampire?
Wow, this is...
Thinks he's a vampire. It's clear he's not a vampire in this show. He's out in the daylight. He's fine. I can't wait to start seeing vampires show up in the MCU, but now is not that time. And Porcupine is great that they're introducing. I'm gonna go back to Porcupine here. So Porcupine here. I'm mostly familiar with Porcupine as a side character for Spider-Woman. I feel like I've seen him show up once or twice in other comics, like crossover stuff or Spider-Man comics or something. I mostly know, and I think there's like a few different characters that take the mantle of Porcupine, but the Porcupine character, like as a character, no matter who the person is underneath, I'm most familiar with from Spider-Woman. In the story arc where she is pregnant, she gives birth to a spider-powered baby. She needs somebody to babysit, and she can't find anybody available other than the supervillain Porcupine, who's trying to find like an honest job to keep. And then he becomes like, he's not so much a villain anymore, and he becomes, I don't know, he gets like a crush on Spider-Woman afterwards. But yeah, I mostly know of him as a very D-list villain. And I think that's true for pretty much every character we've seen villain-wise in She-Hulk. They're taking like, okay, who's the like low-bar villain in the comics that we're not going to see show up in any other project because there's no reason to have them be involved in any other project. And Porcupine and Man-Bull and all those other characters are perfect for this. And they fit well to comedy. And that's why I was thinking, like, I made a comment back when, like, oh, Daredevil, we've seen Daredevil in the teasers. This was before we knew for sure Matt Murdock was showing up as Daredevil in the show. I thought maybe it might be funny if there's somebody who's wearing a Daredevil costume, who's wearing the yellow and red version of it that we've seen in the trailers. There's another character who wears a yellow and red Daredevil-like costume in the comics that is a very comedic, sort of like parody character that's very D-list. He's so D-list in the Marvel Comics that he literally goes by D-Man. And he wears the Daredevil D in his costume with a Wolverine mask in the comics. So I thought it might be funny and a possibility if there's that Daredevil teaser and they were trying to make us think it's Daredevil and then, oh, it's actually D-Man. You've all been fooled. Which, I don't know, might be funny for a comedy show. I imagine the internet would be pissed, so it might be a good thing they didn't do that. Okay, let's continue. I forgot about the posters. Yeah, so I gotta bring up the posters. So behind Abomination is a sign that says Obamastay, which is awesome. I didn't notice the other one before. There's a sign, it's kind of cut off there, but it says Achieve Everything. And there's one more, I think, on another wall. I believe it says Today is Today. We'll see if we can find it.
I did do some light matadoring in college.
Oh my God, dude, what? How could
We
you?
do have to guard against codependency here.
We are.
Another thing I remember about Porcupine from the Spider-Woman comics, he always wore his costume. Yeah, so hold on, we're going to pause. There's a couple reasons why we're pausing here. First of all, the sign that says, make your goal a reality. But also this guy, yeah. It took me a second to recognize him. I did recognize him before She-Hulk said, oh, this guy? Because I think, I was watching with my brother and his wife, and like, who's this guy? I'm like, he attacked her in the alley. And like, oh, yeah, that's right. And I've seen a couple other, like, people reacting online to this episode, and they're like, wait, who's this guy? Like, yeah, he looks a little bit different, doesn't really have the recognizable face, and it was just for that one scene in the one episode, so I totally understand. But I thought he made enough of an impression that it did take me a moment, but I'm like, oh yeah, it's this guy. 'Cause I think it's more so for me, I was focusing on the Wrecking Crew. Because I think not a lot of people knew who the Wrecking Crew were or knew that those characters in that episode were the Wrecking Crew. Whereas I'm familiar with the Wrecking Crew. I think the Wrecking Crew are a joke in the comics. They're kind of like these joke characters that the Avengers always fight. And they always get their ass kicked. Although sometimes they're like, yeah, we beat the Avengers with our magic construction tools. But seeing them as portrayed in She-Hulk, I think made an impression for me. So I kind of recognize this character from that, at least. It's a funny moment. But, something to note is, Emil said, Jen, please. You saw her perk up. So I feel like he knew that Jen was going to have a reaction to seeing him. Which means that he's probably like confessed at some point while he was in this retreat. So he knew that Jen was going to have a reaction to him. And he knew that he was going to show up in the cabin. Why didn't he prepare her, say, hey, listen, don't freak out. This guy, he admitted to attacking you. He said he's sorry. He's going to probably show up if you're here. Just something I thought about right now, which is, I think is just weird that didn't get brought up.
I was visited by a lot of feminine energy in there.
That extra cut.
I was talking to my dead grandmother Rose.
Swung at nothing.
What did
Come on, I stacked those.
It's cool, let it go, man.
I'm allowed to be angry.
This asshole and his friends attacked me behind my apartment.
Today is today.
Jennifer,
There's a sign.
darling, I'm
Seize
gonna
your
get you
true
a single
power.
climbing chair, right?
What's that say? Something jar? What's in the jar? Pickle jar? Did she not like question him like, hey, why did you do this? Who put you up to this? What is the intelligentsia? Where did you get these weapons? She didn't question any of that.
Josh at a wedding. We went on a few dates and I thought it was going.
Where he wanted your blood.
No, not that.
Man, stop talking about blood. Not everybody's your dad.
Don't talk about my dad.
Hermanos, please.
But I mean,
Pobrecita.
that guy, the Wrecker,
Oh, Jen,
I think his
I'm
name is.
sorry. I didn't mean to talk so.
He
No,
Yeah, he wanted her blood. He was
I met
told
him
to
when
get
I
her
was young.
blood.
And
Why would you say no, not that? They're not part of the same group. So this speech here, so I've been featured on the Maclunkey Squadron podcast talking about She-Hulk episodes, if you want to hear me talk more about that there. And I wasn't on there for this episode, but I think a lot of questions or a lot of our debates back and forth would be like, why is Jen this way? What's her motivation? Why is the character upset about all this other stuff? And I kind of picked up on this direction, I guess, throughout the show. Like, you can kind of pick up on it. She's like, oh, nobody likes Jen. Everybody likes She-Hulk. And she's not coming to terms that she is She-Hulk. And it feels demoralizing noticing, like, hey, nobody likes me. I have to pretend to be this other person. So I think this is like a good moment for the character and explains everything.
Let's go find this Josh guy and suck out all his blood. Yes.
So I wonder if that guy a familiar or whatever they're called from Blade? Like, he wants to be a vampire so bad, he's, like, pretending to be one? Wait. The jar said chicken jar? It says chicken jar. I thought it was money in there. At first, I thought it was, like, swear jar. Like, they're putting money in a swear jar every time they swear. And I'm like, no, that word doesn't say swear. And then I thought, like, quick glance, I'm like, oh, it looks like it says pickle. And I'm like, maybe I thought I saw money and what I'm actually seeing are pickles. But I don't know, it looks a lot like money. It's a chicken jar. So he's just asking people so the people in the retreat have to, like, put money in the chicken jar to help. This episode's getting more funny the more I look at it. So her and Wrecker are just cool now. I think that's the thing that most bothers me this episode. So the Dan Slott worked on She-Hulk, the comics. So the truck says Slott on it. And then you'll see the driver here. I noticed the name Slott right away. The driver's name was Dan. So I think I was looking out for that when I saw that. So there, Dan Slott. So I feel like this is the twist everybody was expecting. Because the show kind of, I get the argument that, you know, that was made on the Maclunkey Squadron podcast. And also I've seen elsewhere online. Almost every guy in the show is awful. So Josh comes around and everybody assumes, well, he's gonna be awful. And sure enough, he is awful. So he's copying data on her phone. No, here's the thing though. Little secret about Hollywood here. It's Apple doesn't like it when you use their products and you're a villain. So usually you can kind of predict when a character is bad or not. If they use an Android phone or an iPhone. I don't think they paid that much attention in this show here because I'm pretty sure that's an iPhone. I might be wrong. Yeah, that's 100% an iPhone. So he's supposed, in you know, like, legal and Hollywood purposes, this character is supposed to be a good guy, or he can be a bad guy, but he's supposed to have an Android phone. But I guess that's not exactly a strict rule, I guess. I don't know. I guess he's covering the Apple logo. So, but you can tell 100% it's an iPhone. So one possibility, the name Hulk King, there's no end credits, so I'm going to end it here. Hulk King, one thought came up to mind that I don't really see anybody else considering. And I know is a huge leap, so it probably isn't true. The name Hulk King kind of makes me think, and this coming from the multiverse saga and knowing that the Kang dynasty is coming up and knowing that the Hulk left for space and will probably return in Avengers Kang Dynasty. Is there a possibility that Hulk King is Maestro? Probably not. But, I mean, like, I don't know. I thought maybe it could be a possibility. I think, again, I haven't watched the next episode yet. I'm about to. My theory thus far is that the leader is the one who's trying to get her blood. I think he has the motivation and the history from what we know from the Incredible Hulk and all that. And also the fact that they're using the intelligentsia, and he's part of the intelligentsia in the comics. No, I think it makes sense for the leader to be the character to introduce as this secret man behind the shadows. And we know he's going to be in Captain America, New World Order. And we know that Captain America follows the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was all about super soldier serums, which was what the Incredible Hulk was inspired by, is trying to recreate the super soldier serum. So what I'm saying is this show, I think, is going to lead into Captain America New World Order. And I think the leader is going to be sort of like the transition point between the two. And I think, again, I know the actor has died, but the character of Thunderbolt Ross, I mean, we have a movie called The Thunderbolts coming up. His character, as far as we know in the MCU, is still alive. And I think this is kind of the storyline a little bit from the comics of how that character turns into Red Hulk. From what I understand, I believe the intelligentsia was involved with that. So I think this story is pretty much setting up how they're going to introduce Red Hulk into the MCU.
What is a Red Hulk?
Which seems very weird that they're using, like, the purpose of She-Hulk is to usher in this other character, which the character already exists, let's be honest. So, like, they're just trying to find an excuse to bring that version of that character here. So my thing is that I think the leader wants to continue his research with Bruce Banner's blood. He can't do that anymore, but he has a new target, his cousin, She-Hulk, which it's much easier to be able to obtain her blood in order to continue his research to create not necessarily super soldier serums, but to create better versions of humanity or to heal diseases or whatever his thing was that he said in the movie. I can't remember exactly the words. But now he's got the gamma supersized brain from the Incredible Hulk. So who knows how that's like messing him up and his goals and ideas and everything. So I don't know, he could have like a completely different reason for all this. So yeah, my theory is that he's trying to get the blood to create something, and somehow that's going to lead him to, I don't know, towards Thunderbolt Ross and eventually turn him into Red Hulk or something. Now again, the actor's passed away, so I don't know, like, if he wasn't, I would say like this is most likely the scenario that I can think of that the show is leading towards and what's going to happen going forward after the show's done. But because the actor's passed away, there is that doubt in my mind. I mean, there's still doubt either way because I can never predict anything that Marvel's going to do. I have baseline knowledge of the comics, but they don't exactly always follow what's been established in the comics. So that's just my initial thought, but anything could happen. They can introduce a different character and make them Red Hulk, or they could just be not using that character at all. They might just be retiring that character and then just forget the whole Red Hulk part of the MCU. So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. The episode itself, I really liked. I thought it was funny. Just picking out the additional details in the episode that I missed made it even funnier. So I think this is one of the better episodes of the season. I thought everything about the direction of the episode was fantastic. The cool transitions and the different shots and everything were really fun. The choice of music and all that. And I really like including the D-list characters for comedic effect. I want to see more of that. I know that there's tons of D-list characters that are just like the butt of the joke of every superhero that would be hilarious to see in She-Hulk or the MCU in general. This is why I want to see more comedy set in the MCU. We can introduce these characters, try to make fun of them. The Wrecking Crew are perfect choices. Man, Bull, Porcupine. So that's my reaction to episode 7 of She-Hulk. I'm going to jump right in and do episode 8. It's probably split up into 2 different videos on YouTube though, so please be patient and wait for that. Unfortunately, I can't spend all day every day editing these videos, so it takes me a while to do that. Again, maybe check out myself on the Maclunkey Squadron podcast where we talk about She-Hulk. I don't know if they have a playlist set up, but if they don't, maybe I'll just include the most recent episode as of uploading this. where you can hear me talk in debates on whether She-Hulk is a good show or not. And that's where I'm going to end it here. Anyways, I will see you in the next video.